Of the league's 32 teams have a black head coach entering the 2023 season. Francis Tiafoe, the only black American male competing at Wimbledon, has a second-round match this morning with Dominique Stricker of Switzerland. The 25-year-old Tiafoe is ranked 10th in the world. He's trying to win his first Grand Slam tennis major. The Dodgers wrap up their 4-game series with Pittsburgh tonight. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
2 years ago, on Juneteenth 2021, KBLA Talk 1580 launched with a promise to give disenfranchised fellow citizens a voice in current political, economic, social, and cultural issues with an empowering, sustainable, and restorative language.
Everybody's got a little light under the sun, under the sun, under the sun, under the sun.
As we enter our third year, we are delighted that KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerges as the talk station of choice for African American listeners. In a vigorous public opinion research study, the 2023 African American Media Issue Survey finds that for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 remains the most trusted, credible, and reliable media source in Southern California for African Americans and beyond. Furthermore, 80% of those surveyed agree that outlets like KBLA Talk 1580 provide honest and authentic content about the issues most important to the black community directly from black journalists who understand the issues that need to be addressed. At KBLA Talk 1580, we remain committed to curating conversations that matter to you. Thank you for your continued support. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. The station that sounds like the city looks. City looks.
I'm a piano, it's a big vibe, but the girls them know. Steadily, heavily. I'm a piano, it's a big vibe, but the girls them know. They see me coming, then they shout hallelujah. Every day it be like a new year. Overseas they want chop me like suya. Omo I know big dog, but this dunya. Tire so greasy, you they dance like breezy, easy. I'm on my wrist, they code, they freeze you. Them know they call me Mr. Money for no reason.
KBLA Talk 1580, continuing our conversation with the African-focused trailblazers in just a moment as we freshly return from South Africa and Zimbabwe. And we got a lot going on right here in Los Angeles. But first, we've got an update from your Congresswoman. She is America's Congresswoman, representative for the 43rd District of California, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Dominique, for taking a moment with me. I'm terribly disturbed about the revelations of what took place in Lancaster and the beating, literally the brutalizing of a black woman who was doing no more than photographing the arrest of a man who the sheriffs had determined was somehow involved in a theft or robbery. It seems as if the report was incorrect to begin with, that it was reported that there had been a robbery. It does not appear that there had been any robbery. However, when the sheriffs, appeared on the scene, they did attack a man and handcuff a man, and they were wrestling with him while the woman who was standing in a safe distance away was photographing what was going on. The sheriff looked up and saw her, ran over and tackled her by the neck and threw her to the ground. And then not only was he roughing her up and brutalizing her, he sprayed her in the face. And she was screaming. She was trying to holler. She was trying to protect herself. And she said, I can't breathe. He obviously had his knee on her neck. And so I am so sick and tired of this brutalizing of African Americans and Latinos by these sheriffs. These are nothing but gangster sheriffs. These are sheriffs who have been not only treating too many people of color this way for so long. We know that there were gangs inside the sheriffs. We know that they have this reputation. We have been trying to deal with the reform. Luna, the new sheriff, is saying that he's going to reform. It's not happening soon enough. They're still on the street brutalizing and killing. And so we want them off the street. We want them fired. I'm going to talk to the Department of Justice today about what they are doing with all of the reports that they have gotten over the years about the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. We have got to stop this brutalizing and killing of our people.
And of course, you know, Congresswoman, there was a huge protest yesterday at the stores. Some activists, including Dr. Melina Abdullah, were locked into the store by the WinCo. And the demands from Black Lives Matter grassroots and some others is, you know, to check the sheriffs is for those deputies to be fired, for the store to commit to not calling police on shoplifters, calling sheriffs on shoplifters, and some other demands. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you think the community ought to be doing in response?
Well, you know, my thoughts are that the sheriffs have got to be brought under control. I mean, even if they got a call from, you know, a business that there was, you know, some thievery or that there was a robbery, they've got to approach the situation properly. First of all, you don't run in and start to grab the first black person you see and start handcuffing. You've really got to do a better job of how you approach these situations. Of course, I do believe that the businesses and the shopkeepers should use some discretion. If somebody steals a cake or something minor, there should not be a call to the police. There should be an attempt to say, put it back. And if not, if you lose, you know, 50 cents or 29 cents or 39 cents, that's no reason to set up a situation where someone may get harmed. But it's on the cops, it's on the sheriffs to approach these situations with reason and with some forethought about what they're doing. And so the sheriff's department has proven to be a gangster-ridden operation where they have gangs inside the sheriff's department. Their reputation is complete with how they handle these kind of situations with people of color. We have got to get the Department of Justice to understand that this is a racist, this is a brutalizing sheriff's department, and I'm glad that Luna did put the videotape up so that we could see, you know, what was going on. And I'm glad that he is saying that he's going to work on reform. But I want him to fire them. I want him to get them off the street immediately. They should not be on the street. They should be fired. They always talk about the investigation. I don't care what you investigate. What happened speaks for itself. We're watching this tape with our own eyes. And so this would not have happened to a white woman, I can tell you that. They would never.
Yeah, that's true.
They would never do this. They would never brutalize a white woman. But black women have got to be on this. We cannot let this continue to happen.
Yeah, I understand. You know, on a related note, that you're on your way today to you know, the funeral of a child who was murdered in South LA, and you know, that has just been such a sad story, and there's been so much grieving and, you know, and just bewilderment around the death of this 16-year-old football player in South LA last month.
Well, absolutely. His name is Quincy Reese. He was a basketball player.
Right, basketball player.
Yes, and my son is the varsity basketball coach at Crenshaw, and this was one of his players. So he has been deeply disturbed, deeply, you know, overly, you know, concerned about, you know, what has happened, how it happened, and he's spending a lot of time with the family. We're going to be at the funeral today. It's going to be at the City of Refuge. Bishop Noel Jones will be presiding. The whole team will be there. The community will be there. And, of course, we've got to deal with these shootings that are going on in our community. This was an innocent kid at a situation where lots of people, I guess, were gathered, and this amounts to a drive-by. And it's very disturbing. Yes, we know that too much of this continues to go on in our community. We must speak up. We must ask for the kind of relationships with our police officers and others where they can monitor without brutalizing. They can work with the community. They can help secure the community. Parents and others and our schools have got to work with our neighbors, with our parents, and do everything that we can to advise and to counsel and to deal with, this violence. It is overwhelming, and it is very depressing.
Yeah, Quincy Reese Jr. apparently had been accepted to 58 different colleges, was a star student and a promising athlete, and by all accounts, just a beautiful young person. So our condolences, of course, out to his family, his community, his team, and as usual, Congresswoman Waters, you are stepping up and and making sure that he's given the best send off that he could possibly have.
Absolutely, and thank you for helping people to understand that this was a young man of promise. He was a 3.4 average. He was smart. He was well liked. He got along well. He dealt with constructive criticism from his coach well. And his life has been cut short. And it's such a shame that this talent and this promise will not be available to our community, to this country, and to the leadership that we want from young people to help us deal with, all of the problems of our society. Thank you so very much for giving attention to it.
Well, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, thank you for amazingly and relentlessly staying on top of everything. We were talking about your housing bills this morning. Hopefully you'll come back soon and talk to us about those, and much appreciation in you staying on the case with the Sheriff's Department brutalization at the Winco Market, and, of course, the funeral for Quincy Reese Jr. Much appreciation, Congresswoman.
Well, thank you so very much.
All right, we will continue our conversation regarding our trip to the motherland. You're invited in. You're always welcome in 800-920-1580. It's KBLA Talk 1580, where we're amplifying Black and progressive voices around the clock.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap from my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of Black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to Black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So, Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership, it's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community, and it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
When you can find everything you need at prices you can afford, that's totally Target. It's that feeling when quality Good and Gather ingredients on the barbecue bring family around the table. Or when favorite day after practice snacks let you celebrate the whole team for less. It's when saving more on Up and Up sunscreen means more fun in the sun. And when Target Circle Rewards program gives you more perks on what you buy most and is always free to join, that's totally Target.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head. Yeah.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And we just got an update from Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Now, though, returning to the conversation with our African-focused trailblazers. Chenan Wargo is on the phone. He's the co-founder. We are being joined by 3 other folks who went on the trip. Patrice Simmons, who is an OG trailblazer, original griot. You were on our first trip, right? Yes. In 2016, yes. One of the first ones to take the plunge, has been on 3 of the trips already. And hey, hi.
Hi, good morning. Grand Rising, everyone.
And you brought some show and tell,
yes,
which is great.
Grand Rising, sun gods and goddesses.
And we're on YouTube, so if you want to see the show and tell, you might want to tune in. We're also being joined by Sasha Escandon. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
First time to Africa for you.
First time with the group, first time to Africa. It was incredible.
Yeah. And also on the phone, we have Nalo, who you met on the trip. She's an author and also a traveler who joined us this year. First time with African Focus. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Dominique and Patrice and Sasha.
Hi, Grand Rising.
Yes, indeed.
Grand Rising.
And Uchenna's still there. Of course, we'll be checking in with him. Well, let me start with you, Patrice, because this is not your first rodeo, not even your first trip to South Africa.
No, it isn't. This is this was my second trip to South Africa. I went 10 years ago with KJLH.
All right. And your first time in Zimbabwe, right?
Yes. Zimbabwe is the one country that is at the top of my list that I always wanted to go to. It's just been something mystical and mysterious and just something spiritual. Every time I would have encounters with someone from Zimbabwe and just things like that, listening to Stevie Wonder, Bob Marley, and all these other people, Hugh Masekela, sing about Zimbabwe, it just does something to my heart. And so getting a chance to go there was just, the icing on the cake. But I wish I could have visited when Robert Mugabe was, still alive and the leader there. But just going there and being, and so I took my shoes off and I grounded there at the lodge. I did that as much as I could while I was in Africa so I can get re-energized. And brought home some really good souvenirs from Zimbabwe, and I hope they stay alive. I'm taking care of my babies.
Okay,
I'm talking to
do
them.
not admit to crimes on the radio, Patrice.
Okay.
As your not lawyer, I'm advising you not to talk anymore about that. But, it's funny because Zimbabwe was never really on my list, but I will be going back there.
Yes,
I loved it. Like, I had a list of priorities. I didn't see Zimbabwe coming. I just wanted to go to Mosi-oa-Tunya Falls, or as the colonizers called it, Victoria Falls, one of the 7 wonders of the world. I always wanted to go there, but I never really thought about going to Zimbabwe. But man, I shall be back.
Yes.
Sasha, you're nodding your head yes.
I totally agree. The whole continent is something that you just think it's too far to get to, that you just feel like you'll never get there, but I hear it's on everyone's dream list of traveling. And so to me, everything was a brand new experience, and I really like to approach everything like that. Just no expectation. I'm just going for the ride, and everything above and beyond any expectation I had. But Zimbabwe, for sure, as soon as we landed there, I don't know, there is something magical there that I would definitely want to go back. The lodge that we stayed at was beautiful. It's very it's I kept saying it's paradise. It's such a paradise. And I completely didn't know what to expect. And that was just a beautiful realization to know the lodge that we stayed at, the people are so warm and kind, and just, it's a very, very welcoming place to be. And you just feel immediately at home. To me, I felt very comfortable and welcome and at calm, and I felt like I was on vacation.
Yes.
I would definitely go back for at least another week, another 2 weeks, just to relax and enjoy the weather and the people and the food.
That was the real Africa.
Yeah.
That's what they called it, the real African.
Bush.
We were in the bush,
Yeah.
Like, to me, anytime you're not allowed to go outside at night because you might get eaten or, consumed by
elephants.
That's definitely goes on the bush category. Nalo, I mean, you were kind enough to talk to me in South Africa. Of course, you're an author, so Nalo can describe everything in detail. But since we're rhapsodizing about Zimbabwe, your reflections on that country.
I was yesterday, and we actually had a staff meeting, and I had an opportunity to start talking about it. And the more I talked about it, the more I realized how amazing it was. When you start talking about it and you really start to remember everything. And then I showed pictures of the waterfall and the lodge where we stayed, and the dinner cruise that we had on the Zambezi River. And I said, I don't even know what was the best thing. I mean, I feel like it was the fellowship.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, sometimes it's who you're with. And so as much as I could talk about the waterfalls and the river and the lodge and the people that we met, it was the people we were with. And I have to echo what Shannon and Diete and Uchena said earlier about the family element. It was a community. It was being with people that you got a connection with that you didn't even know a week earlier. I mean, we all met pretty much on the trip, and being in Zimbabwe, and I have to focus on Zimbabwe because by then I knew everyone's name. I was still learning.
I mean, there was 40 some of us, so that takes a minute.
That was 43, right? So, but it was the community feel. It was being around people who you just felt like were watching your back. And the one thing that I was telling my kids, they're like, well, were you scared? Or, everybody, you have to do this and you have to watch this. I said, there were a bunch of times where I dropped my phone, I dropped my purse, and there was never a time when I felt like, oh my gosh, someone's going to grab it. It was a community. And I think years from now, when I look back on the trip, that's what I'll remember more than what we saw and even what we did. It's going to be that whole thing of remembering how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's well said. It reminds me of, what Maya Angelou said, if people remember how you make them feel. And that was in a collective sense, I think.
Absolutely.
True. And I got to ask you the elephant in the room. Well, there were a lot of elephants in the room in Zimbabwe, but literal elephants in the room, outside the room, walking down the road. Elephant poop is everywhere. But Sasha, a lot of people would wonder, why would a Latina decide to go off on a trip with 40-some black folks to the motherland, and how
You're Latino? I didn't guess that.
Yeah, she figured it. You're just now figuring that out.
Yeah. She's one of us.
Absolutely.
That was very sweet. First it's the place. I'm always interested in meeting people from other places, other countries. Traveling has always been something I love. I love the anthropology in people's faces. I love knowing where people are from. I love languages, cultures, all that. So the more I can explore that, the more, if I have the opportunity and the funds, I will go ahead and grab that opportunity. So, honestly, the reason I went with this group was through you, Dominique, because I've just been seeing you post it. It looks amazing. It's a dream come true, and I just finally took the plunge. I never thought twice about the group. I think actually if anything, it was just, okay, honestly, it's all organized. I don't have to think about anything or plan anything. So I'm like, great, here's my money, take it all. I will do anything you say to do. I think what is transformative of the actual experience with the group was honestly just being able to be witness and see how the group experienced this great transition to what they were saying is coming home. And that was a really beautiful emotional thing to watch as people were processing in their own ways the beauty, the sad, the difficult, the historical, and to watch everybody witness that. And I just kind of felt like a fly on the wall, but never feeling outside of the group. I definitely immediately, I'm sure, like I said before, when I came to the first meeting, I think people thought maybe I was lost and not sure that I was coming for the group. But immediately it was very welcome. So again, like echoing what Nala was saying, is it's definitely a family feel. And even, was it you, Nala, that was saying, you know, I didn't realize it when we were talking about us and this, we're all coming home, that she's like, I didn't even think that didn't include you. She's like, because I have cousins who are the same shit, you know, and
look just like you.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of another great side effect of all of this, is that just kind of breaking down all of those preconceived notions of everybody and every color, gender, whatever culture, is that we all do come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And this was a way to explore not only the continent, the culture, going back to, you know, what roots are, but also bringing everybody else along and making them feel a part of it. So I definitely felt a part of the group, and just it did feel like family. It's a very, again, it's not just the experience, but who we had it with made it exponentially better. It was incredible.
Uchenna, we've got a minute till news, traffic, and sports. What do you want to say about what they just said?
Well, I mean, it's the experience and just watching and living through their own experience. I couldn't even take pictures. Right now, I'm just looking at everybody's picture and see what their experience is and what captured their imagination, and and I'm just thrilled. I'm excited, and I'm happy that we're able to. And I thank God for you and the station and all the people that work behind the scene and make this thing possible. So it's uplifting.
Uchenna is Nigerian, but he is not a country kid. So I never thought I'd see the day when Uchenna and Wargo would be on a safari. That was definitely a highlight of the trip for me. Continuing the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In California, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is launching an internal investigation into a video that shows a deputy slamming an African-American woman to the ground outside of a grocery store. Sheriff Robert Luna says it's important to get all the facts before passing judgment.
It's going to be, and I'm going to make sure that it's a very objective review.
Civil rights leaders are calling for the deputies to resign. Millennials are apparently the worst offenders when it comes to lying on social media and in the workplace. A new survey from online casino Playstar asked more than 1,300 people how much they lie. More than 1 in 10 millennials said they lie at least once a day. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
It's your last chance to shop July 4 savings at Lowe's. Right now, get up to an additional $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 7/12. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
DeMar Smith, president of the National Football League Players Association, is calling for the NFL to get rid of the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule was implemented 20 years ago with the intent of improving diversity hiring in the NFL, specifically black head coaches. Smith called the Rooney Rule a failure. When the NFL implemented the Rooney Rule in 2003, the league had 2 black head coaches. 20 years later, only 3 of the league's 32 teams have a black head coach entering the 2023 season. Francis Tiafoe, the only black American male competing at Wimbledon, has a second-round match this morning with Dominique Stricker of Switzerland. The 25-year-old Tiafoe is ranked 10th in the world. He's trying to win his first Grand Slam tennis major. The Dodgers wrap up their 4-game series with Pittsburgh tonight. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like watering your lawn during the hottest time of the day and leaky faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
To my hometown, my community. Some of you have known me my whole life. Do you notice anything different about the kids in the neighborhood? Ever paid attention? You might start with gifts, money, attention. These are signs. Child trafficking is happening right here in this town. So don't just watch through the window. Pay attention. Because the more we know, the more we'll all know to say no. Learn the signs to look for and how to help at no-to-say-no.com.
I'm James Alexander, a proud member of AARP. 1967, I was 17. That spring, my friends, the Barcades, and I made Soulfinger. It was a hit. Number 3 on the charts. That summer, we became the Great Otis Redding's Band. First gig, the famed Apollo. That fall, we toured. That winter found me in a morgue identifying the bodies of my bandmates and Otis Redding. My music and their memories bring me joy. The Barcades forever.
What would you call a joy that is as solemn as it is sweet and knows no bounds? A joy that's beautifully rooted in soul and resilience. This is Black Joy, a joy that reflects pride and honor despite every challenge. AARP believes the power of Black joy is limitless, and we celebrate this joy supreme. Join us in celebrating Black joy at aarp.org/blackcommunity.
Where are we on the lineup?
It's official. Avery is producing Main Street Music Days.
We need to be ready. We're going to have lots of people. What's the status on the new sound engineer?
They need an audio technician to keep things level from sound checks to encores.
Make sure audio from one stage does not compete with another.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Yeah, we've got some African-focused trailblazers in the building and a couple on the phone, and we've got the founder of African Focus Incorporated, a co-founder, along with his wife, Emily Uchenna Nworgo. All that going on at once. And so I'm going to go back to you, Patrice, because you brought a doll for show and tell. So go ahead. What are we looking at?
Yes. So this Zulu doll, my mother had bought these when she went almost 20 years ago. And so these dolls here, I thought that the rings
here, let me hold it up to the
I
camera.
thought that was for adornment.
Right, they're like gold rings.
Right.
Can you
on
guys
the
see
neck.
it?
They wear them on their neck, and they wear them on the wrist and the legs. And so we went to the cultural village there in Johannesburg, and we went to this original Zulu community. And he explained to us that, when they take brides, sometimes they're arranged marriages, sometimes they're forced, kidnapped, sold into marriage.
Back in the day, of course, not now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the mother-in-laws will place those rings on their ankles to keep them from running away. These weights. So they put them on their ankles and they put them on their wrists and they would put them on their neck so they can only look forward. They can't look left or right.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
And then they have the coat that they would wear. That means you're a married woman.
And that hat, remember the hat? They're never supposed to take it off.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's sewed into the scalp.
Yeah, they would into their hair. Yeah. Yeah, and they said that they're not allowed to take that hat off even when they go.
Right.
They're those hats like the one Angela Bassett was wearing in Panther. It's that tall hat, except it's red. Anyway, they have the special pillows so you could actually sleep with the hat
neck,
on.
Yeah. The neck,
so basically, these were like they were like handcuffs.
Yeah, so that was a
Decorative
shock
handcuffs.
to me when I learned the history of these dolls.
Yeah, it was a shock to me too, because I really was thinking about buying one of these necklaces
Right.
too when I was in there. No, won't be doing that. I guess it's a good example of why we should
Travel.
know what one, travel, and two, don't get artifacts and stuff from places if you don't know what it means or what it's for.
True.
Right? You could be sending yourself or somebody a signal that you don't want to send.
Yes. So that was very educational.
Yeah,
for me
that was
day.
that was the same day where the chief, they wanted to marry off DSA.
Oh, right.
To
Yes,
the chief
yes,
for
at the
some
village.
500 cows, so Shannon would have been rich, but obviously that wasn't going down.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, just some of these ancient customs. So
Right. But the dancing that day was off the chain.
off
It
the
was
chain. Yeah,
fantastic.
we learned a lot
Oh,
that
my
day.
gosh.
So we've been dialed in by Nzinga, who was also on the trip. Nzinga, good morning. What did you want to add to the conversation?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so first, this is number 10, right? So 10 out of 43. Hearing the voices this morning is absolute music to my ears. Like, I'm almost crying. I'm almost weeping to hear hairdresser Patrice, Don't Follow Nalo, right? Fellow educator Shannon, my C partner, pro bono therapist Sasha, Shannon, the fellow educator, DSA, one of the babies of the group, Emily with the infectious laugh, and then Uchenna, the man, the myth, the legend. So all that, first of all, and then if I forgot anyone, my apologies. Don't charge it to my heart.
Only
But,
about 25 people, but if you did shout outs to all 40, we'd be here all day.
I literally heard those voices this morning, I'm saying, like on the radio within the last 60 minutes. But so the grounding, I believe Patrice mentioned the grounding, how she literally took her shoes off, her sandals off, and felt the earth. She absolutely did that. And then similar to that, I remember we were going to Victoria Falls. Everybody was getting ponchoed up. You know, ponchos. I brought mine. I brought my big, bright yellow poncho, right? And then everybody's like, you know, with the water shoes and the this and the that. And then I wore my poncho for like the first, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 minutes. And then I'm like, dude, what am I doing?
I wore mine the whole time because I didn't want to just be wet. I mean, it felt like it was raining all the time at Mosioatunya Falls, a.k.a. Victoria Falls, but it was all coming down from the waterfall.
Correct. But I took off the poncho and left it off for the remainder of the tour. And I was just, everyone kept asking, aren't you cold? You're getting wet. I'm like, yeah, it's a rainforest. You're going to get wet. But I felt that I was being baptized, ongoingly baptized by Mother Africa.
Yeah, I took a picture, which I really love, of Patrice, the sun goddess, and my other friend Patrice, one of my good friends Patrice, together at the rainforest. I just think it's beautiful. If you want to see it, it's up on my Twitter, KBLA 1580 or DiPrima Radio. So, yeah, I mean, but your nicknames and such, it kind of points to the whole experience of people bonding, creating their own relationships. Uchenna, you know, I know that we've done, this is our 5th trip together, the first time with KBLA, which was a blessing in itself, being able to broadcast. I know that you weren't able to go on all of those trips, but certainly you were front and center on this one. Tell me about, you know, as an African, but you're going to places in Africa that you might not necessarily have been, including the safari. What's your takeaway here?
You know, I think Africa shouldn't have boundaries. We shouldn't have borders. We should encourage other Africans to visit other African countries to really embrace and understand and appreciate African culture in its totality. Because my going, before now, I used to say, I'm from Africa, I've been there, done there, kind of a mentality. But the reality of joining you and Emily and the rest of the trailblazers this time around is an eye opener for me that I need to do more, and other African, continental African people born in the continent can, embrace, plan to visit other African countries. Just because you're born in one little village or one little town or one little area doesn't mean you know what Africa is all about. It was a learning experience for me. I never thought I would. I didn't even want to go to the safari. I was so scared that the rest of the trailblazers put me to go with. I was so scared, believe it or not. So the second day I was able to go, and thank God that I went. And so, yes, it was educational for me. It's an eye-opener in many ways that I will encourage other Africans. Don't just think because you're from Nigeria, Kenya, Cameroon, you can visit other parts of Africa. It's a lot to learn and a lot to enjoy.
Interesting that you say that, too, because I heard from a lot of Africans, notably the chief that we met with in Zimbabwe, who was amazing, Chief Mpisi, and, and others, though, especially those who are sort of forward Africa-minded, that there's this real movement towards one Africa, towards the idea that many of the borders that we have now are colonial borders, and that the collective power of Africa is important, and that it's important for Africa to unite. And while that makes sense in some ways, in other ways, I think, I'm always struggling with people in this country to understand that Africa is not one country. It's actually a continent with 54 nations. So I'll speak on that a little bit, because I heard that a lot, this one Africa concept. And, I don't know if any of the other trailblazers also want to weigh in on that, because it was something that I heard repeatedly from the more activist folks that we encountered. Uchenna?
Yes. It's back to what I said earlier, is that notion that Africa is just a small place. I don't even know the rest of Nigeria, let alone with almost 20-something languages. I only speak one. Of course, with the Pidgin English, that helps me to interact with the rest of the country, the rest of the tribes or the rest of ethnicities, not tribe, which is more another way trying to sort out people, calling us tribe. But, it's important that we have open minds. We can travel. We can relate to other people. We can explore, because there is more to Africa, more languages, more cultures. Like I mentioned, I was being educated just like everybody else from from America going back home for the first time. I felt like I'm being baptized in so many ways, in Johannesburg or Cape Town, and cried many times. Seeing what our people are going through in Johannesburg, there, I had to cut off the second wine tasting. Everybody who went to that second one realized that I just didn't have energy to go there. Everywhere we go, I see our black people in the front doing all the manual jobs and, being enslaved all over again. And you don't see them having big businesses. You don't see them having the big jobs. They are just the ones that are being used to do manual jobs, and everywhere you go, you see them. I just got, tired of seeing that, and I wanted to go back in that particular incident. But when I'm with our people culturally, it's amazing. No matter what they've been going through, the joy, their spirit, the welcoming attitude, and the hope is just uplifting. So it depends on how you look at it. You look at what they're going politically, you say, wait a minute, something needs to happen, which you have touched on earlier and many people have touched on. Our people need the land. There's just no two ways about it. And until that happens, we're going to continue. The people in South Africa is going to continue to suffer without having a take on how the economy is run. How do you progress when you can't even have a land to farm? When you're boxed into township, like the one we visited, more than how many thousands of people live in that square mile, with no good job, no good road, nothing. It's sad. So our people from other continents need to travel. Maybe that can help to bond us together to fight off or to earn what is equally due to us, which is our own freedom economically, socially, and politically. Because right now we're all doing it. Nigeria is doing its own thing. Cameroon is doing its own thing. None of them can really muster the power to really create an economic powerhouse that they need in the continent to succeed.
Yep.
So traveling would be a key for all of us.
We're talking Africa. We're back, but we're still in the mindset, sharing that with you. More straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire, or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-381-8528 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-381-8528. That's 800-381-8528. What do you have to lose? Call 800-381-8528. Again, 800-381-8528.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Where are we on the lineup?
It's official. Avery is producing Main Street Music Days.
We need to be ready. We're going to have lots of people. What's the status on the new sound engineer?
They need an audio technician to keep things level from sound checks to encores.
Make sure audio from one stage does not compete with another.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
And we're talking about our trip to Africa. We just got back from the motherland. I'm Dominique DiPrima here with our trailblazers. What was your favorite thing on the trip? Sasha, start with you.
I have to say it was the Msanzi restaurant in the township. Welcomed with like live marimba music, full-on band, home cooking, such like delightful people walking through. The food was incredible. Always vegetarian options, which was amazing for me. And just that home feel was great.
Patrice.
I would have to say the river cruise on the Zambezi River. It was so peaceful and tranquil, and the beautiful sunset that we got to witness and enjoy. Hey, I'm like, if I ever get married again, that's where it's going to be.
Well, she got planned. You know, and I guess my favorite moment would be Mosio Atunya Falls, a.k.a. Victoria Falls, just because, like, the waterfall is, like, my spirit animal. I mean, and the fact that it's really 6 waterfalls, but it's all one waterfall, so you can't actually get a picture of it. It's so big. You'd have to be in a helicopter. And then there was just rainbows everywhere, like some kind of unicorn rainbow wonder world. I could have actually stayed there for days. I mean, it was beautiful. It was loud, and just powerful. I can see why it's one of the 7 wonders of the world. Nalo, your favorite moment?
Oh gosh, everything everybody said. But so I'm going to go with I'm going to go silly, and I'm going to say the most fun was when we went on the boat to see the seals, and the boat rocked and knocked us around, and everyone laughed. And honestly, I think it was the first time on the trip that I feel like I got a chance to see everybody's like really fun side, because, you know, and everybody was laughing together. And even though we were being sloshed around, I just had so much fun. And I loved watching everybody's face, and everybody was and grabbing each other, that we didn't know each other that well, but everybody's grabbing the other person because we're falling over. And I think for me, I don't know if it was the best, but it was definitely the most fun.
And Zinga, your top moment on the trip?
I would say the visit to the school and the orphanage is a tie. The visit to the school and the orphanage with the children.
Yeah, just because of the kids.
Beautiful, beautiful Black babies. Yes. Children.
Yeah, and actually they were doing a great job, I think, at both the school and the orphanage that we visited, and it was an honor to be able to bring them things. When we come forward, Uchenna, I want to get your highlight. I know it ain't the safari, but it has to be something, your favorite moment, and and just some final words before we pass the microphone, as we do every day. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Yeah, you never enough time when you're rhapsodizing about Africa. Uchenna Nworgo, co-founder of African Focus Incorporated. What was your highlight?
Well, my highlight is the fulfillment of the vision, the goal to see African children come home. Being part of that movement and seeing the joy, it's almost like our ancestors are smiling over us. Like you said, the game for all the big five almost came at the same time that we were there. Many people have gone through the game for 2-3 days. They didn't see no big games. You know, the lion coming out, walking majestically in front of us as if that he was escorting us to something bigger, welcoming us. I mean, it was just beautiful. So those are my moments. You know, the joy that I see in everybody coming home and being part of that movement, being the organization, part of the organization and the crew that bring that moment to reality makes my day.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when we reflect back, it's like we can't even remember all the stuff we did. I thank you as well, Uchenna and African Focus Incorporated. So we've got about 3 minutes here, so everyone's going to get about 30 seconds to say the last thing they want to say, and I'm going to start with Nzinga.
Okay, so if you have it anywhere in your pocketbook or if you can save for it, you've got to make one of these trips. You've absolutely got to make this on your bucket list.
I know that was your birthday present to yourself, so happy birthday to you and Zinga.
Thank you.
Yeah, your final thought, Sasha?
I'm going to say the same thing. I think everyone should go on this trip. I particularly feel like this trip with this group is the best idea you could have. I highly recommend it. It's not just the trip to Africa, but the experience you have with the people that you go with. And this trip was so well organized. We got to see so many incredible things. Our schedule was jam-packed. And like you said, Dominique, there's hard to remember all the wonderful things that we did. But yeah, highly recommend with African Focus Trailblazers.
AfricanFocus.org. Watch this space. Nalo.
I'm going to echo what they said, and I'm going to say a heartfelt thank you to you, to Uchenna and Emily for such a thoughtful, well-organized trip that I will remember for the rest of my life, and I'll always be grateful. So thank you.
And I have a feeling you're going to write about it. I can't wait to read your
am.
romance novel in Africa. Coming soon.
It's in there. It's going to be in there. No names will be mentioned, but you'll be there.
Patrice, and let me just say to you again, Patrice, thank you, because when it was just an idea and everyone thought it was crazy, you took a chance, and I appreciate that so much.
You're welcome. And I just want to thank African Focus and Emily and Uchenna. The vision, it came to pass. I mean, I knew that we were going to have a beautiful, beautiful time and experience, but I did not know that this group of people that we traveled with this time, they were just some beautiful spirits. The energy was just great. And I had a wonderful time. All the times I've been to the continent 7 times. This time here, this was it. I said it before. I said if I never go back to Africa again, which I plan on, but if I never go back, this trip gave me something to. It lived up to the purpose.
That's a great way to
the
close it out. Okay, Uchenna, you got 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, if you didn't make it to the trip with us, you can always join us on Saturday, August 19th, 2023 for the African Goodwill Award and Family Induction. Get more information at www.africanfocus.org or call us 310-676-7300. We'll be glad to have you in the house. Thank you.
Thank you guys also very much. Tavis Smiley's up next, but actually Dr. Nicolai Corte is up next. Got a great show on tap for you. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from